believe lasting change doesn't come from pushing yourself harder, but from learning how to trust yourself again. We live in a culture that often treats personal growth like a switch. You are either disciplined or you are not. You are healed or you are broken. You are making progress or you are failing. But real change is rarely that simple. Our guest today, Kerisma Vere, is a holistic wellness coach and author who helps people move away from all or nothing self help and towards healing, self trust, regulation, and a better quality of life. She's the author of The Light Switch Myth: Contemporary Approaches to Creating Lasting Change, the companion journal ways I showed up for myself, and creator of the 7 module course From Pressure to Path. Charisma, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Darlington. It's been good to be here. I love having conversations like these.
All right, thank you so much, Charisma, and I hope you enjoyed that wonderful introduction.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. So, Charisma, I have some questions here for you. I see you have done a lot in terms of writing. So I'm wondering what inspires you? What inspired you to write?
I've always loved writing. I've loved English and writing, right from the time I was really young. But I've also always really liked helping people, and particularly helping people by I do things, I learn things, I go through life, I kind of figure out what works for me, what doesn't work for me, that where things that we might want to avoid, things that we might want to include. And I've always been somebody who likes to share that with other people, because I believe strongly that we can learn from each other, and we can learn from each other in storytelling. So um, when I resumed my coaching practice, and again, I found this universal theme with people that I worked with, that, these ideas of instant transformation, and combined with perfectionism and unrealistic ideas of what change looks like and requires. And I thought, okay, it's finally time to put that book together, and I can put that book out there for more people to be able to access. Because I've also noticed a lot of people are very reluctant to get help. They're reluctant to work with a coach. They're reluctant to work with a therapist. There's a hyper independence for many people that are affected by these kinds of things. So I kind of thought, I'll put the book out there, and maybe it'll reach a few of the people that don't come into my coaching world.
All right, thank you so much, Charisma. So tell us what led you journey into holistic wellness.
It's pretty much been my life. I mean, I came from an environment of neglect, and I had a lot of trauma, and I was in survival a lot of my life, and I didn't really know how to take care of myself, nor did I have the capacity or the energy to do so in any great kind of way. Little bits here and there, just kind of the bare minimum. And um, been in recovery. This is my second time in recovery, but to me, it's just the balanced way. Like, I've come to understand my intrinsic self-worth, that I'm deserving of love and care and unconditional regard, and I have a deep commitment to taking care of myself across the board, as well as I can. And I have a philosophy that, that we all have these needs, and I have spiritual, financial, emotional, social, mental, physical needs. And so I don't believe I can ever get any of that perfectly, but I sort of have umbrella goals where, I shift to all those sorts of things. And I'm still learning more about some of those areas than others. And um but I sort of believe, as a human being, that, like, that's what is my best bet at well-being and quality of life. Is so I this is where, like I said, I always teach and coach what it is that I believe. And I think that that's a very balanced approach to living life, is learning how to take care of ourselves in all the ways that are actually relevant to us.
All right. Thank you so much. So, you're talking about holistic wellness. For most people who might not understand, uh, what exactly is holistic wellness?
Well, that was just kind of what I just described, but to me, that is understanding that we have needs in all of those different areas, that our financial health, our emotional health, our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health, our social health, our environmental health, they all have an interconnectedness, and we have needs in all of those areas. So holistic wellness is about our well-being, and it's about learning how to um, for me, it's about learning how to have an attuned relationship to myself, where I can look at what needs are coming up and meet those needs when possible. But some of us are really good at some of those categories and not very good at other categories. Some of us really prefer some of that, like maybe we're somebody who goes to the gym all the friggin' time, but we're not very comfortable sitting in our emotions. Or maybe we're like really good at nutrition and this and that and the other thing, our emotions, but we've never really learned how to build financial security or anything like that. So I just think that's a natural human state to be better at some areas than others. But rather than being in denial about the fact that all of those areas are important, I like to be in acceptance that, hey, they all play an important role in my well-being. So they all deserve a little bit of attention. But I mean, I come at it from a compassionate, patient, curious kind of place. Like I know my own spirituality had some setbacks um, in about 2018, and I'm still rebuilding that and forming a new sense of spirituality. But I absolutely understand how important that is to my own well-being as a human being. But I can accept that, hey, that's an area that I'm still learning and growing and exploring and figuring out what that means to me nowadays.
Okay, so let's talk about the light switch myth. That's one of your book. So, what is the light switch myth? The light switch myth, and why do you believe the way we think about personal change is often wrong?
Well, I would never say wrong, but I mean that's part of the problem. I don't put things in right, wrong, success, fail kind of boxes. But I think, when we have this idea that we can be perfect at things, or that transformation and change happens overnight, like you make up your mind, and all of a sudden you're going to be that new version of yourself, um and you set the bar really, really high, and you have these really high expectations of yourself. I think chances are it's just a matter of time till you find yourself in a place where you consider that you have failed, and the heaviness of having failed is going to weigh on you. Most people I've ever met tend to go into a place of blaming and shaming themselves, which adds more layers to the situation. They wait until, like they're feeling a bit better. They try again, but they try the exact same way and get the exact same results. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So, and I would argue that it's not us that's the problem. It's it's been our approach to change. It's like a basketball player doesn't just decide that he's going to be a good basketball player. He actually sort of has to learn about it, and he gathers resources, and then he practices, and he understands, like, sometimes he's going to get the ball in the basket, and sometimes he's not. And really, we learn as much from the times we don't get the ball in the basket as we do from the times that we don't, provided we're not stuck in that success fail. If every time you shoot for that basket and it doesn't go in, your reaction is to beat yourself up or blame yourself or put yourself down or feel like a failure, you're going to miss what it was that you could learn about that moment. Like, if you can approach it with curiosity and compassion and patience, you could go, I wonder what happened there. I wonder why the ball didn't go in the net. What could I change and do differently next time? From a place of patience, not from a place of pressure. It's like, oh my God, I gotta get it in. I gotta get it in. I gotta get it in. All those kinds of approaches, they just, they require so much energy And that energy takes away from the energy we actually need to do the things that are the sustainable methods towards creating the lasting change.
Okay. So why do so many people fall into an all or nothing approach to self improvement?
Well, I'm not the expert. I can answer for everybody, but I mean, I think, for me and a lot of the people that I've met, I mean, I think it stems way back to the Industrial Revolution and the fact that, people were they were having to survive. They were having to, like get up, go to work. You didn't have time for your feelings. You certainly didn't have time to really develop a good relationship with yourself. And most things you didn't get taught. You just had to figure out how to do them in a hurry to survive, to keep a roof over your head. And then, those are our grandparents and our parents. And so those were often the expectations that were put upon us. It's like do well at school, succeed, find a good partner, buy a house, all these expectations of who we should be. We should be a success. But it seems to me that it's not every household that actually teaches their children how to do those things, or gives them a realistic framework that is a non-linear kind of path, that it takes practice and it takes resources, it takes support, it takes patience, perseverance, those are the kinds of things I just think that generationally we weren't ever for many families, survival was where everybody was coming from, rather than from a place of more grounded well-being and health, where things could get passed on in a way for us to have a different understanding that change is actually a process, and that it takes time and resources and patience and perseverance and all of these things. I mean, so few of us were actually brought up in environments where we were taught that it was okay to prioritize the relationship with yourself, or we were even taught how to have a good relationship with ourselves. We internalized criticism and all kinds of other things that got in the way of actually having like a really loving, attuned, unconditional relationship with ourselves. And I don't think that many who have that this rings true through, whether it's our parents or our grandparents. I don't think it was intentional. I think everybody was actually kind of doing their best, but you can't really teach your children any more than you actually know. And you can't, for many people, they didn't know more than what they were taught.
All right. So the companion journal is called Ways I Showed Up for Myself. So why is recognizing small acts of self-support so powerful?
Speaking to that, like I don't know, I've yet to meet a person that didn't have that critical voice in their head, but I met so many people, myself included, where you're coming from this survival and this lens of threat. So you lay down at the end of the day and your head goes over everything you did wrong. Oh no, I didn't get the dishes done. Oh no, I said that thing to that person. Oh, I didn't make that phone call. Oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, this is happening tomorrow, and we're lying there before bed and we're going over our day with this lens of threat, and all it does is hyper focus in on where we fell short and what is wrong and what there is to be scared of. So the journal is intended to help you actually rewire your brain to start to see what is going right, and not what you would think. It's a very personal thing. The questions they're very personal. Like what was very difficult for me today is mine. And what took courage for me is mine. Maybe that same thing wouldn't take you courage, but it took me. And these are the kinds of things that we probably wouldn't say to somebody else because we wouldn't actually expect them to get it. But in not saying it out loud to other people, we're also not acknowledging it to ourselves. So the journal, you can take 1 minute to 5 minutes or longer if you want. And you're just learning to really acknowledge and validate and start to see yourself, your efforts and your day and how you're showing up through a different kind of lens. And it's building that compassionate, attuned kind of lens that sees more than where you failed or you messed up. It starts to see where you actually showed up, and that builds agency and efficacy and confidence and all kinds of wonderful things, right? And it starts to shift our perspective, and it actually leads to getting a better quality of rest, which gives you more energy the next day, which increases your capacity to be able to do more of the kinds of things that you're going to be able to feel good about. And when I say the things you're going to be able to feel good about, that's an internal metric that we need to develop ourselves, not an external ruler that we want to hold up against, comparing ourselves to other people.
Okay, so how can someone begin moving from what's wrong with me to what happened to me and what do I need now?
Well, I think that's a personal thing, like I always I'm used to working with people one-on-one and asking these questions and helping them find the answers themselves. But, if you had asked me how I'd do that, I did that by that journal. Like, I didn't have the journal. I just had those kinds of questions that I would ask myself, and I would write at the end of the day. And that was really transformative. Like it really helped me start to see myself differently. And as I learned to acknowledge and validate myself, I started to feel seen and understood. I started to feel supported. That started to really grow the patience and the curiosity, right? The other part I think that can be very helpful is just to check in. I do it I do it throughout the day now, but I started with just once. I actually started in the bathroom because that's when I would just like ground for a second. You just ground for a second, but you just close your eyes or don't close your eyes. Just kind of check in. Like, how do you feel physically? How do you feel mentally? How do you feel emotionally? And you just take that second to just check in. My experience is most of us, if we haven't been checking in with ourselves, what we find is going to be a little bit difficult to face, is be like probably pretty tired, probably pretty, maybe overwhelmed, maybe feeling pretty distressed and those kinds of things. But it starts with like actually seeing that, because once we can see, without awareness, you can't change anything. When you start to be aware of, like, how much is going on in the inside, then you start to be able to meet yourself in that place. And then you have like a bit of a choice, you can learn how to kind of tend to those needs and how to offer yourself some support, compassion, care, rather than it's just like anybody else. If they disregard and ignore how we're doing, that just feels so horrible. And that is not the same as getting support. So really, I think very few of us were taught how to actually provide quality support to ourselves. And I really think that has its roots in developing a new lens towards how we look at ourselves, and to taking the time to kind of check in and start to deal with what is there on the inside. Which I often, personally, I need help to do that. I'm way more capable of doing it on my own, by and large, for 85 to 90% of it now. But particularly to begin with, I needed somebody to help me look at that stuff, help me, stay on track with that stuff.
Okay, so for someone listening right now who feels completely stuck, what is one small thing they can do to begin moving from pressure to a more compassionate path?
Well, I have a 7-module course that I just turned into an 8-module course, and the book is 210 pages. But that book is, you could read the book. That was how I did it, and it's not one simple thing. I can't say eat peanuts and you're going to feel better, because that's the whole idea of the sensationalist kind of self-help that we're all been trying to fed. It isn't one little thing; it's a lot of little things, But if you really just want one little thing to start you off, put your hand on your heart, close your eyes, and let yourself know that you got your own back. You can just say, "I love you. I got your back." And start from there. But I always recommend getting help, but there's books, my book, other books. There's listening to podcasts like this. There's getting into groups, or being in places where, like, if how somebody treats you doesn't feel good, don't do your best not to be in that situation, seek out the places that help, that allow you to breathe a little bit lighter and stuff like that. But there's so many different things, like, so I offer a free 30-minute consultation, and I'm not really a big salesperson, so I'm not really in that call to try to like convince you to work with me. I'm more in that call to try to help you get resourced to a few starting places for yourself, whether or not you want to work with me. It's like, okay, it's that hearing what's actually coming up for you, what's going on for you, and what the real life circumstances of your life are, so that I could possibly offer up some suggestions that would be more of a fit for you, as opposed to, I don't think there really are generic one size fits all kind of answers.
All right. So finally, what does a genuinely good quality of life look like when we are no longer measuring ourselves by perfection, productivity, or constant sense improvement?
Well, I like to say, like, nothing stops bad stuff from happening. Sometimes life gets difficult. Sometimes things happen that are just, oh, we're not in control of that. But in learning how to treat myself differently, how to when I fall in a hole, or something goes sideways, I know how now to be very kind to myself, to be very supportive, to be very compassionate. When things are going off track and it has something to do with my own behavior, I know how to be to bring in some accountability with myself and tie back into my own goals and needs and stuff like that with kindness. Not by denying what's going on, or anything like that, but actually with kindness. And when you learn how to be your own supportive service person, even when life is throwing you the hailstorms and the thunderstorms and the dark clouds, it doesn't make it that go away, but it helps you get through it differently, And I've yet to find the exact words for how to describe this, but because it does kind of make it easier, but it's more of a change. It's just like, okay, wow, all right. I just went through something very, very difficult, but I was there for myself, and that changed it somehow. I think if we've ever had an experience of somebody else being there for us through something difficult, we might know what that is like, but maybe we didn't really learn how to be that person for ourselves, and that kind of a thing changes quality of life. The other thing is, I really like me. I mean, I love me, and I don't need to lose weight or do this or do that to offer myself love. There's a lot of things I'm working on because I want to, because they have their roots in different values of mine and things that are important to me. But it doesn't, like I love myself regardless of all of that. So that's not. And the fact that I enjoy my own company means that I'm not willing to spend time with people who don't treat me very well. I mean, every once in a while we get forced into those situations for a short period of time. But other than that, it's just like I've raised the bar as to how I get treated by treating myself a lot better. And then that has meant that I don't tolerate people who can't treat me at least close to how I'm able to treat myself, because I know that I deserve that. And then, whether it's the people I'm hanging around with or the situations I allow myself to be in or whatever, like they have improved because how I treat myself, my standards have improved based on how I treat myself. And that all translates into quality of life.
All right. So thank you so much, Kerisma. Thank you for joining me today on Control or Be Controlled. This conversation is a powerful reminder that change doesn't always require more pressure. Sometimes it begins with slowing down, understanding ourselves, and learning to trust ourselves again. You don't have to become a completely different person overnight. Real transformation can happen through small choices, greater self awareness, compassion, and simply continuing to show up for ourselves. So, for those who would like to connect with you, learn more about what you do, and get your book, how can they do that?
Uh, Please come visit me at towardswellness.ca. The renovated site will be launched any day now, but the old site is still up, and you can sign up for the newsletter, or you can email me. You can sign up for a free 30-minute consultation if you'd like to talk, and you're welcome to reach out to me through social media. If you Google Kerisma Vere, I pop up. You can pop me into Spotify or YouTube or Facebook or pretty much anywhere, and I have a little bit of a presence there. But the main site where you can learn about the coaching and the books is towardswellness.ca, or you can find the books directly on Amazon.
All right, thank you so much, and thank you to all my audience as well. You guys are always amazing joining us on the show. And if this episode is speaking to you, make sure to share it with someone out there who might need to hear this. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye, guys. Thank you, Kerisma.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.